Hello everyone, this is Frank DeFreitas and welcome to HoloTalk, the Internet's laser and holography talk show, enjoyed in over 42 countries throughout the world. And now, here's this week's show.
Hello?
Hello, is this Martin?
Indeed it is.
How are you, Martin? It's Frank DeFreitas.
Hey, Frank, I'm glad to hear from you.
Good. How's everything going up there, okay?
Real good, real good. I've been looking forward to our conversation. I hope I have something interesting to convey.
Probably the best way to start all this out, having you talk a little bit about your work up there. Specifically, I imagine this through Photon and Photon 2. How long have you been involved with students, teaching them about photonics and holography?
Okay. First of all, let me say that Tantasqua Regional High School, where I teach, is located in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Many of the listeners may be familiar roughly where that is. It's in central Massachusetts. And the school serves 5 towns surrounding Sturbridge and has about 1,200 students. It has both an academic and a technical division. And my program in photonics is officially vested in the technical division, or what used to be called the vocational division of many high schools. And however, is available also to academic students as a science elective in the school. And we'll talk a little bit more about what the classes and the courses are. But broadly speaking, I got involved in this several years ago, about 3 years ago, when the director of Tantasqua's technical school and the head of the science department approached me while I was still in private industry and indicated that they had found some grant money and would I be willing to help them construct a high school level curriculum in photonics. It turned out that I had already done a bit of that through my involvement with Project Photon, which some of the listeners may know is a National Science Foundation sponsored effort through the New England Board of Higher Education to develop curricula for high school educators in subjects such as fiber optics and lasers and light in general.
Fiber optics was actually your main background at one time.
Indeed it was,
yeah.
Yes. My work over the last 25 years in industry has been in optical fibers, optical fiber materials, and infrared optical materials.
And this led to you going into the high schools when you were asked to run these programs.
That's correct. I can't say that I'm the youngest guy in the world, but this is one of these opportunities that comes along once in a lifetime to convey the experience and knowledge that you have to the next generation, if you will. And it's, I must admit, the best career move I probably have made. I wish I had done it 15 years ago, to be honest.
Now, holography entails a small portion of this whole program. I imagine there are a lot of other activities that you have going on centered around the field of photonics. Are you preparing students for moving out into the workforce? For instance, they're indoctrinated into the realm of photonics through your high school, and perhaps maybe move on to a 4-year college or even a technical college after they graduate from high school?
The program is aimed at doing all of those things. First of all, we do train students for the world of work in the traditional technical school sense. For example, I have students right now interning at some of the local fiber optic companies, and they use the training and the knowledge that they pick up in the photonics courses that they've taken through my program. Simultaneously, since academic students can take this program on what we call the college preparatory or honors level, they can move on to a 2- or 4-year college program with at least sufficient knowledge so that they are familiar with broad photonic concepts, with broad concepts in optics and optical physics, and so that they at least know many of the buzz phrases and basic principles. My intent has never been to try and graduate miniature electrical engineers from this program, but to give students a leg up, whether they're going into the world of work or to college.
Well, I know that the area that you're in is actually a hotbed for photonics, high-tech education at the 4-year level, but how are things for high technologies, photonics in particular with your technical colleges? Community colleges.
We have an extremely good program very close to us here. I am not too far away, about 45 minutes drive from Springfield, Massachusetts, and Springfield Technical Community College has an outstanding 2-year program in lasers and electro-optic technology. At the same time, a lady named Professor Judy Donnelly teaches at Three Rivers Community College here in Connecticut, about 45 minutes south, and she teaches a similar program and indeed has done quite a bit of work retraining folks from, for example, the Electric Boat Division of General Dynamics when there were large layoffs down there in the area of fiber optics and photonics.
Mm-hmm. What's the interest like with the students?
Interest level is very high. I guess the honest answer is you get out of it what you put in, and thanks to some of the things that you've had up on your website, the activities that you've conducted, holography, etc., we've been able to get the students fairly fired up. I think you and I had communicated by email, and I mentioned to you the fact that my original plan in holography was to do it as a, say 1 week activity or so, and it's turned into a 2 or 3 week adventure because of the students' enthusiasm and interest. That's
wonderful. Are they following any particular path in high school? This isn't a technical high school. Are these honor students?
The students that I have are both. Let me say this. First of all, they are 10th, 11th, and 12th graders.
Okay.
They are generally on the college prep or honors level. They are both technical and academic students. And let me be clear so that the listeners understand what the nature of this program is.
Mm-hmm.
The Photonics Technology program at Tantasqua consists of a series of courses. They are 1 semester each, that is a half year. They meet for 84 minutes each day. So the kids get a lot of learning in that 1 semester.
Mm-hmm.
The first course that they would take would be entitled Introduction to Light and Lasers, and that covers exactly what you think it does. Basic photonics, what is light, what is lasers, how do they work, what are its applications. And it is at that point that I introduce holography as a basic topic, and the students are taught how to make, process, create, and learn about reflection holography.
Yeah.
The second course that they take, the second semester, is entitled Introduction to Fiber Optics. And in that course, they learn about fiber optics, both telecommunications fiber and non-telecommunications applications of fibers, such as imaging, laser power transmission, sensors, etc. And in that course, they gain both theoretical and practical knowledge. They have to learn how to put connectors on fiber. They have to learn how to polish fiber. They have to learn how to measure fiber. The third course in the series is entitled Geometric and Physical Optics. And in that course, we do more holography, transmission holography. We also learn about optical instruments and the behavior of lenses and various optical elements.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we have some open courses in the sense that they teach students about principles of engineering. We have a course entitled exactly that, Principles of Engineering. So the curriculum is quite varied. That gives you a quick idea of the types of courses we have.
What are some of the actual experiments that they would conduct in the classroom environment?
Oh, well, for example, they have to do everything from build and interpret a Michelson interferometer to understanding how a supermarket scanner works, to learning how to do optical time domain reflectometry measurements on fibers. They learn how to splice and cleave fibers. I am blessed in the sense that local industry has been very kind to me with donations of equipment, and I have a very nice fusion splicer that the students can use. I have an OTDR that they can use. They also get involved with building simple optical instruments, telescopes. Camera Obscura is an exciting project that they did with some of the art departments in our school. So that gives you a flavor.
That's an incredible preparatory course.
Well, we want to keep expanding it. As I mentioned a moment ago, one of the things that we're trying to do is tilt it even more into what you and I would consider a pre-engineering curriculum and tying together some of the other departments that we are fortunate enough to have in the high school. For example, we have a very good CAD program at the school, and I want to pull in some of that to give the students some experience in optical design, for example. I got a copy of Oslo and one of the Oslo optical design program, and one of the board members on the Project Photon group has offered to come in and teach that to the students.
Has the perception to holography changed at all? Have you noticed any change in perception of the students, that you have more students coming in already knowing what a hologram is?
The answer is no. None of them know what it is. They've heard the phrase, and they associate it, for example, with an image that they see on a credit card or one of those little sticky things that they may have gotten on a keychain, but they don't understand it in the sophisticated sense. I might make an editorial comment at this point just to give you a little more background. I was first introduced to this topic a long, long time ago. I think you and I may be parallel in age. But back in the late 60s, when I was getting my undergraduate degree in physics at Rochester Institute of Technology, the professor that I had assigned me to the project of making a hologram.
Yeah.
And that was at the time just shortly after, several years after the Leith and Upatnick's papers came out. I remember struggling very diligently to finally get a hologram out and was very proud of it, and basically dropped it after that. I continued my interest in optics but didn't have the opportunity to do it again until I came to this high school.
Yeah, yeah. I also noticed that on the web when I did a search for any papers that you may have published, you had some articles in Scientific American over the years. Would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about those articles on optical fibers?
Yes. One of my primary research areas over time had been in infrared glasses. Again, I was fortunate enough. It's one of these situations where you're, I guess, in your career where you're in the right place at the right time. After I took my physics degree, undergraduate degree, I wasn't exactly sure what to do, and my advisor said, well, why don't you think about going to Catholic University in Washington, D.C., because they're working on a newfangled area that might have some potential. I don't really know, but I'm not sure. He says it's called fiber optics, and they're working on glasses and materials for low-loss telecommunications optical fibers. And since you have an interest in optics, why don't you go down there and look at the program? Well, I did, and I signed up for a Ph.D. program in material science.
Okay.
And that, in turn, led me into research and development work on glasses, infrared materials, hermetic coatings on optical fibers, all kinds of what at that time was very high-tech stuff, and turned out to be a very interesting and intellectually stimulating career. And I've been fortunate enough to publish quite a large number of papers in the area of glasses, optical materials, and their applications.
Yeah, there was another article that I had a chance to take a look at that was about a marine creature that it was sort of like off the beaten path for fiber optics, but they somehow tied it together.
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of these things where you the only place my 15 minutes of fame is never up is here at home with my wife and kids. I got a call one evening from a reporter for Science magazine, and he had heard that I supposedly knew something about fiber optics, and did I have any comment on a new creature that had been discovered that had these naturally occurring fibers on them that guided light apparently to the internal structure of this animal.
Wow. And
did I know anything about that? And I had to admit I didn't. My knowledge of biology is matched only by my knowledge of sport. So the reporter and I talked a while, and I wound up giving him sort of a crash course in fiber optics, which was really the only way I could help him, and that's how the article came out.
Yeah, am I correct in what I read, that the efficiency of the transfer of light through the spines or whatever it is of this creature was actually more efficient than what we were producing in the lab?
I don't recall that being true. I think it was remember, this was a very short section of fiber and or a very short filament that's on these animals, and it's very difficult to make a measurement of an extremely low absorption coefficient over such a short distance in the animal. I don't think that was true, Frank. No.
Okay. All right. Where do you plan to go with your program, and where do you see it in the future?
Well, boost clearly our enrollment within Tantasqua. That's been a difficult task because some kids shy away from the program. They feel it might be too complicated, too mathematical, too technical for them. And to answer or assuage those concerns, we've gone out to actually other high schools in the area to attract new students, and we've also done a lot more publicity work inside the high school. I do a couple of training or teaching days for all of our 9th grade students now, so that I'll hopefully get a new crop of 10th graders coming into the program. The other thing that we would like to do, I mentioned earlier in the conversation, and that's build the program up into to include more pre-engineering type of activities. We would like to create a engineering academy within Tantasqua High School that might have an admission exam and bring in a very high quality of student that we could then train for admission to a 4-year engineering school.
That would be fantastic.
The other thing, of course, to do is to keep on, and this is my little pitch here, is to keep on knocking on doors and hope that people will continue to be generous with their donations of equipment and parts. High schools aren't the first ones in line when industry thinks of giving stuff away, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say your gender breakdown is for this class?
I have about 25% girls in my class, depending on what the course is. To be honest, it varies between like 50 and 25%.
Mm-hmm.
Young ladies, I encourage very much because I feel strongly that women absolutely need to be better represented in the engineering disciplines, the engineering professions. We have had, again, difficulty in attracting them because they feel it's going to be too difficult.
Yeah. My daughter's actually going for a graduate degree in electrical engineering now. She's working down at Lockheed Martin. And she's pretty much alone as a female, doing some of the work that she's doing. I noticed when I ran some classes for approximately 10 years at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, the laser and holography program, and I know when I started out in the mid-'80s that I would have approximately maybe one female student per 15 to 20 male students. And by the time I was wrapping things up and moving on in the mid-'90s, it was pretty much what you're seeing now, maybe about 25% of the class. Yeah, so I guess things have stayed that way for a while. That's actually, I guess, an improvement, but I guess 50-50 would be the optimal, what you would be looking for, I guess.
Well, I can give you the opposite side of the coin to encourage both you and the listeners a little bit. The other, what we didn't talk about is the other course that I teach at Tantasqua is both college preparatory and honors physics.
Okay.
And in those classes, I have honors physics at the moment. I have 24 students in there, and of them, I'm doing a quick rough count on the top of my head here, at least 11 or 12 are female.
Okay.
And when I did a show of hands at the beginning of the semester here, of all those students, more than three-quarters of them wish to pursue a degree, further education in what you and I would consider technology, be that medicine, biology, engineering disciplines, whatever.
Is Sturbridge an urban area?
No, it is not. It's relatively rural. We are about 65 miles west of Boston.
Okay.
The town of Sturbridge has a population of about 8,000.
It certainly couldn't be considered a suburb of Boston anyway. At 65 miles, yeah. There are some very interesting programs that are happening in rural areas compared to urban right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What type of holograms have you been making? Do you have a website that anyone can visit where they could see some of the students' work?
Shortly. We will be putting up a new Tantasqua website, and I have written and taken care of the whole set of pages for my program. At the moment, the best I can do for you is our the little newsletter that I sent you that shows some pictures that we have taken and also has some photographs of my holographic setup.
Mm-hmm.
That is located at the New England Board of Higher Education's website, and the listeners may be interested in going there. It's www.nebhe.org, New England Board of Higher Education.
I'll make sure that there's a link that goes directly to that area of the website for the listeners if they want to click on that and go over and visit after they're finished listening to the interview.
I should also say you asked about what kind we've been making. We have been making both reflection and transmission holograms, and as you know, I've had exceptionally good success now with the small diode laser unit that you supply people with.
Mm-hmm.
It's worked out very well indeed. It's helped us out a great deal in the sense that we had been working prior to that with just low-power Heaney gas lasers, and had also tried some work with a higher power argon laser without much success. And the accessibility to that diode laser setup, and I should add, having the kids actually build the little power supply with it themselves was very satisfying. And then getting the hologram out of it was how should we call it, a double shot.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Where do you see this technology going from an educator's viewpoint and the fact that you're involved with this industry as deeply as you're involved with it? There's always emails that are coming through about, I want to project a hologram of an actor on a stage, and I'm sure you probably get tons of emails about that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And quite honestly, I don't, as you say, you have much more experience in that area than I do. And sometimes I don't know the answers to those questions. I do know that photonics is a good career area, but holography, I should make clear to the listeners, I view it as an exciting and very interesting photonic educational tool that I use with the kids in the following sense. They learn not only the theory and the principles of holography, why does it work? You can teach them through that portion of the course concepts of interference and diffraction and make it real to them.
Mm-hmm.
But the holography also then allows them to do and develop practical optical skills. After we do the theoretical part on the blackboard, I take them into our laboratory, give them an empty optical table. Okay, now you have to set up all of your equipment in accordance with the instructions that we've had. Go ahead and do it. Shoot the holograms. Make the plates. We're fortunate that we have a nice darkroom at Tantasqua. Afterwards, they have to develop the plates themselves, so they develop photographic processing skills, and they get very excited about being able to see things happen there and work in a darkroom. I can assure the listeners that it's sometimes tough to keep a half dozen or 10 people under control in a darkroom, but it does happen. And then finally having the finished product, and they get to take something home and show to their parents a nice white light reflection hologram of exceptional quality.
Yeah, it's a very successful program with disadvantaged youth as well because of the visual qualities of things that they bring in and make the holograms as well. While we have you on the line and we have other educators listening, I'd like to ask you a few questions about safety in the classroom.
Yes.
Precautions you take as far as goggles, chemicals, what type of processing are you using with the holograms?
We are using the standard, what I'll call, if I may be so bold, the Intergraph chemicals, JD2 developers and others. The kids do have to wear in the darkroom goggles, aprons, and if they so choose, rubber gloves. I've found that the majority of them don't seem to take too kindly to these very hot and uncomfortable latex gloves. In the classroom, in my photonics courses, the very first lesson on day one is laser safety, and we spend actually 2 days on that, learning about what a laser, not only what a laser is, but what it can do to you, shock hazards as well as eye hazards. They have to memorize and learn all of the standards, the classes of lasers, and which are important and which are perhaps not so important here in our classroom. In the classroom and in the laboratory, they do wear safety glasses, especially, of course, when we bring out the higher power argon laser.
Isn't that something?
Safety is a very critical thing, and the educators that are listening should be aware of that. Indeed, on the New England Board of Higher Education website, I've posted our laser safety rules and a tote sheet, if you will, or a one-page description that the students, in effect, have to memorize. And I rigidly enforce a 3 strikes and you're out rule. If I see a laser beam traveling around the room, the first time you get warned. If it's above chest height, the second time you get warned more sternly, and the third time you're out for the day. Hey, you know.
Hey, I know. I know. I've been in the classroom, so you wake up in the morning thinking that how things are going to go, and then you have to throw that all out the window and start from scratch once you walk through the door of the classroom. That's for sure.
That's right. Having said all of that, the students are very cognizant. They are very respectful of the equipment. They realize that that it's a privilege for them to be in this course because they have access to equipment that's tons more expensive than any other student in the school.
Yeah, exactly. I had an opportunity to see the equipment in your lab, and it looks like Newport research tables and all of your magnetic mounts and posts. And yeah, it's very nice stuff for students to be working with.
Yes, we are very fortunate. OFS, which is the former Lucent division here in Sturbridge, which manufactures telecom optical fiber, has donated quite a bit of material to us. And indeed, they are giving us right now a 4x10 Newport optical table.
Wow.
With air flotation. And I intend to set that up in my laboratory there and hopefully use that as a larger workspace for demos and holography, definitely.
Yeah, if you get a chance to go back to the HoloWorld website, I just opened up another area for doing those little mini holographic portraits that the students might be interested in, too.
Oh, cool, okay.
Yeah, it combines a 35mm photography with shooting a little 8-slit laser transmission master, and then doing your master to reflection copy transfer.
See, that's exactly the kind of thing I need, Frank, for my senior level guys. That's the kind of thing that yes, I will definitely do that.
Yeah, I had that up once before, and it got a little. At the time, there were a lot of other things going on, and I got a little frustrated trying to keep up with all of the questions and everything. So at the time, I didn't really have a solution to it. But this time around, I said, well, I'm going to put this back up, and this time I'm going to make a very bold-faced note that you should already have some experience working with holography. You know, this is not a project. If this is your first hologram, this is what you should do.
Right.
So I think that possibly may eliminate things with that. But check that out. The students may be interested in doing little portraits as a project. Maybe you get your school superintendent made into a hologram or something. I know Bill Pugh did that down in Jacksonville, Florida. Speaking of which...
Yes.
What is it like to be a teacher working in photonics and holography as well? Do you network with other educators across the country, or do you feel rather alone?
Through Project Photon, I have excellent opportunity to network with people. We have our own listserv, and I will forward that address to you if you don't already have it. And so Project Photon, through Judy Donnelly at Three Rivers Community College and Nick Massa at STCC Springfield Technical Community College, handle this for us. And we have in that project some 60 educators already who are implementing this photon curriculum throughout the Northeast and, in some senses, throughout the United States.
Okay. You're somehow involved with the Electro-Optics Center that's just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as well? Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
No,
I am not. I'm aware of it, but I have no involvement with it, no.
Yeah, Wendy Gilpin, I believe, who is one of the directors out at that center just north of Pittsburgh, is on one of the advisory boards for Photon, so I thought maybe there was some sort
of... Yes, thank you very much. My mistake. Yes, I have met her. I recognize the name. Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
But I have had no formal contact with them, nor have I ever visited there.
Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty nice place. Well, Martin, we're closing in on our 30 minutes. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that you'd like to add to the interview before we close out?
I'd certainly like to extend you and any of the listeners an open invitation to stop by if you're in the Sturbridge, Massachusetts area. I'm happy to show you what I have, what I do, and if the readers have listeners have any questions, they can easily contact me by email. It's I think you'll probably put it up at your address. It's Drexhage M at Tantasqua. That's TANTASQUA.org.
Tantasqua.
Tantasqua.
Yeah. Great name. How far are you from Stewart's, Connecticut, where University UConn
About
is
45
located?
minutes. Very close
really?
By. Yeah, very close by.
Oh, I just dropped my daughter off there over the weekend.
Well, yeah, it's as a matter of fact, it's right up 84. We are at the intersection, roughly speaking, of Route 84 and the Massachusetts Turnpike.
Okay. Well, I'll contact you next time I have to run up to UConn.
Great.
And maybe we can get together and at least have a cup of coffee or something.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Martin, I want to thank you very much. If you want to hold on the line, I'll thank the listeners for tuning in. And